Welcome to TSP Weekly. This is your tech startup podcast for Thursday, October the 1st, 2015. Today we are recording at the Velocity Foundry. We're in the Icebox. Mm-hmm. Is that what this room is?
Apparently, yeah.
It's pretty warm in this room for it being the Icebox.
But it's pretty cold outside.
It is, so I guess it all balances out in the end.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, we have hot
right.
pretzels, too, today.
Yeah.
They might be frozen, though, now.
Oh,
so,
really? Oh, fair enough.
What once was hot is now frozen.
It's like the story of my life, right? Let's do some introductions. My name is Darren Conley. I'm a local tech entrepreneur here in Kitchener-Waterloo. And joining me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, fellow tech entrepreneur, Stephen Campbell.
I'm confused. A frozen pretzel is the story of your life?
Well, starting out hot and then,
and then cooling off
later on.
and being a pretzel form.
Right.
And quite salty.
Yeah, let's not take the analogy too far. I mean, it was probably ill-conceived in the first place when I made the comment.
I just wanted to point it out.
Anyway, let's introduce our guest. So joining us today, we have Mr. Patrick Valoppi.
Oh, hello.
Did
well
I
done.
say that right?
Valoppi, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Well done.
And Niket Soni from Grocera. Usually before we start recording, I ask everybody how to pronounce the names and the startup names so I don't screw it all up. But
yeah.
Any corrections that need to be made there?
Well, Patrick's, he has some Italian in him, so I think his last name is Valoppi. We have to do the hand gestures also.
Yeah.
Okay, bene, Valoppi. Okay. and Niket
Soni.
Yeah,
good.
Soni. We can do it as well, right? Perfect.
All you have to do is just the hand gesture, and then it just comes out.
As long as you hold the hand up, everything changes into Italian.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Grocera, guys, I know it has something to do with food.
Yeah.
I know you got the inside track to pretzels.
We have the hookups. We have the hookups.
Oh, awesome. So tell us about Grocera. What does Grocera do?
So Grocera is an online grocery shopping and delivery service that specializes in local food.
Okay.
So what that basically means is that we only partner with local independent retailers, local farmers, local butchers, local bakeries, just everything local. There's quite a few companies out there doing online grocery shopping, but they choose to partner with the big guys, Sobeys, Loblaws. We're coming from a different perspective, having a professional and familial background in farming and food, that we see a gap in the marketplace when it comes to local food. And we sort of decided to go on that route, to carve out a niche for ourselves.
And there's a big focus these days, especially in kind of responsible eating circles, right?
Yeah.
On locally produced produce and I don't know what do you call the meat side of that? Butchery.
Locally butchered meats. Yeah. It's all about the 100-mile diet and keeping it within your community and
reducing your carbon footprint and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's a local restaurant, Borealis, that's their whole theme is locally sourced food, right?
That's one of my wife's favorite restaurants, actually. And I'm sure once I tell my wife all about you guys, I'm sure that you guys will be very highly esteemed by her as well.
Fantastic.
She
Another
likes
customer.
The local focus. Yeah.
So you guys have a really cool thing set up. You go to your website and you can pick from different stuff as long as you get your order in before 11:59.
That's correct.
Then it's AM or PM?
PM.
PM.
Right.
Yeah. Then it's
before
delivered
midnight?
the next day.
Essentially before midnight. Okay.
Yeah.
Next day delivery.
Yeah.
We
You
should
guys
let
are delivering sort of between 4 and 9. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
We got to let them tell it.
Making sure I'm
He's on it. I like it.
That's perfect.
That's
So you have to prove that you've done your research, unlike myself. Just trying to hear it for the first time.
So how does that work? So you guys sitting, are you guys leaving voicemails and checking the web to see what the orders are the night before, and then you're at night going to the farms? Or tell me the process then.
So, no, we don't have to do that. We kind of have a lot of things automated on the back end. So if someone places an order at, let's say, 9 p.m., immediately we're notified, as in the administrators on the back end, Patrick and myself. We look at the order, see where the stuff is coming from. So you could have something from Grain Harvest Bakery and then something else from Hurley's Produce Market. So we have to determine, okay, who's going to go where, who's going to pick what up, and we do everything the next day because we cut off ordering at midnight. And then we deliver the next day between 4 and 9 p.m.
Right.
So when you're ordering right at that last checkout step, you just basically have to tell us, okay, I want it between 4 and 5, 5 and 6. And when it's time for your delivery, you get a little text message from us saying, hey, your driver's on the way. and you can actually track our driver's progress in real time on your smartphone.
Very
so you
cool.
know when to come out of your condo, when to come out of your house. So we don't have to walk up 18 flights of stairs.
And you're
So-
tracking it with an app of your
Yeah.
own.
So our drivers
devising,
have
yeah?
that app on their phone that
Okay.
the GPS is enabled.
Gotcha.
So when I talk to you guys, I very quickly realized that we're not talking about food. We're talking about logistics and relationships, and it's so much more than just sort of the veneer of food on the front, right? So how do you guys deal with that? Like, how do you do the logistics? Do you have?
Are you actually doing all the driving and picking up? And
Yeah,
Right
is
now
it
we
just
are.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
you get up in the morning and your first thought is, got to go to Hurley's, got to go to this, got to go to
Yeah.
that. and
So
grab
so
the
that's
stuff.
kind of what makes the magic happen on the back end. It's the logistics, and that's what we're good at. Figuring out where to go, how to do it, who's going to do it. So we're clustering not only our customers together, but our suppliers together, right? So we're not driving all over the city. So for example, today we had something from Grain Harvest Bakery, something from Hurley's, and then something else from an independent retailer. So Patrick picked up Hurley's, I did the other two things, and everything's back at HQ at Velocity.
The mothership.
Right.
Yeah, and it's ready to go for our deliveries tonight.
Now,
so
HQ stands for headquarters.
Headquarters,
I believe,
yes.
right?
Yes,
For anybody
headquarters.
listening that didn't know that.
Thank you for clarifying.
welcome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
for
What? So walk me through the experience. If I'm a brand new user, I've just shown up on your site, I've listened to the podcast, and I think I want to check this out. First of all, I'm assuming I have to live within a certain radius of here. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So right now we're hyper local in the Kitchener-Waterloo market.
Yeah.
We have plans to expand to Toronto in the new year, which is really exciting, and we're kind of gearing up for that. But right now, yeah, as long as you're in Kitchener-Waterloo, you'll get your groceries.
So it's like step one, I type in my address and I get a notification of whether I'm qualified to make use of the service or not, or
So no, you can actually go onto our site, browse upon all the stuff, and then you just validate through your postal code at the end.
oh, I see.
Yeah.
And what are the limits? Are like the city limits for Kitchener? If I'm in Cambridge, I can't make use of it.
Not
yet?
right now. The
Okay.
way our system is set up is we
St. Jacobs?
St. Jacobs, yes.
Yeah.
Because it has to be, your postal code has to start with N2 and then the alphabet. So it goes from
Right.
A to V.
Right.
So everything in that range we deliver to, but anything outside of that, not right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so I go on, I browse, I find some stuff I want to get. I know I'm living within your zone. So what am I doing then? Filling up a shopping cart? An online shopping cart?
As long as you have $35 worth of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the minimum. There's no maximum,
Okay.
which is good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like Amazon, right? You pick what you want, you put it in your cart. You can browse by category, you can browse by the vendor that we're selling for. So, for example, if you want to just look at the breads that Grain Harvest has, you can browse by that. And then we actually have alcohol now, so we deliver Ontario craft beers, Ontario wines, and everything else you can find at LCBO. And so you can just browse, put it all in your cart, and then you check. It's just like Amazon. It's just
Yeah.
very simplified. There's no bells and whistles. It's really just a seamless user experience.
Very
There's
cool.
so many challenges I can keep envisioning as you guys talk about sort of scaling it and quality assurance, and as you add more farms, and if it's just the two of you guys, how do you scale and grow?
And
But then-
delivering beer too.
Yeah, the
are
alcohol-
There like age limitations, like
It adds a whole
what
other
if
level.
What if a 12-year-old is online with a credit card,
Yeah.
ordering beer? Like, are there legal implications to deal with that?
Yeah, so we have we actually had to apply for a alcohol delivery license
Oh,
from the
interesting.
province, from AGCO, Alcohol Gaming Commission of Ontario.
Yep.
Right.
That was almost a 7-week process to get that license.
Wow.
And once we got that license, both of us, or actually all of our drivers, are going to need to be Smart Serve certified.
Yep.
So basically,
Okay.
just like a bartender switch.
You have to go through the course. And
Exactly.
Yeah, so, anybody that's not in Ontario, Smart Serve is sort of a thing for all restaurant people, all servers, or all bartenders. If you're serving alcohol in a restaurant, you have to be Smart Serve certified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that makes sense then.
So yeah, that's definitely it's obviously it's going to happen every now and then where someone will order and they're not of age. So we're checking IDs before we even hand over the product, and
Sure.
even when we do hand over the product, we're Smart Serve teaches us that you have to figure out if the person is too intoxicated, are they capable of having any more alcohol, just like a bartender would, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of personal responsibility for ourselves and our drivers and as a corporation.
And I'm assuming part of your terms of service is that you have to be above a certain age to make use
Exactly.
of the service that way. Yeah. So
Correct. Yeah.
legally, you can cover your butts.
Yeah, no, of course, that's a big thing, right? Because you don't want to, some of the scenarios that the Smart Serve certification kind of puts you through, they're very interesting and definitely in the realm of plausibility. in terms of like if somebody's too drunk, like how do you say, okay, I'm not going to serve you?
Yeah.
There's an interesting situation you have to go through.
Especially if they've already paid for it, right?
Yes,
And it's
correct.
on the way to
And
their
you're dropping it off at their home.
Yeah.
No.
And they're like, I'm not driving anywhere. What do you mean I'm too drunk to drink my own beer that you're bringing me?
Yeah.
So,
Yes,
that's
for
a
sure.
fine line, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So that makes sense for the alcohol. How are you guys dealing with the scalability?
Yeah. So you
Getting
mentioned
new farms on board, or
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the crux of I think it's crux.
Yeah,
The
we'll
meat of our
accept
business.
either
Let's go
one.
with
crux
meat.
of your crux.
Yes. The meat of our business.
Yeah.
It's and I think you guys mentioned it's logistics.
Yeah.
Right. We're a tech company because we don't hold any inventory. We have no warehouses. We work on an on-demand basis.
Yeah.
Next day. So the magic happens with technology. And scalability it becomes an issue with logistics because I have to group my suppliers together in a geographic area, so I'm not driving all around, and I have to group my customers together. So we go where the customers are, not necessarily their homes, but maybe when they're leaving work, like Sun Life. Everybody leaves at 4 p.m. I could deliver in their parking lot, which is what we're planning on doing.
Right.
In terms of like quality assurance. So my background is in food safety. So I worked at the Canadian Food Inspection Agency as a food safety specialist and even at Loblaws doing quality assurance. So that's like a top priority for us because at the end of the day, yeah, we're a tech company, but to the consumer, it's the food.
Yeah.
Right? They don't care that we're a tech company. If I'm going to give them bruised bananas and rotten tomatoes, then they're not going to come back.
Right.
So like quality assurance, picking out the right stuff, that's kind of what we're good at, I'd say.
Yeah. Makes sense.
what do you look for in a good tomato?
That's a good question. No bruises, firm. We want to make sure they're on the top, obviously, of the platform versus the bottom.
Right.
And as long as they've been, handled with love and care, I think that's the secret
So
ingredient.
you guys actually go and you guys pick it out? Or the farmer doesn't say, okay, here's your stuff that I've put off to the side for you, just throw it in the car and go?
Through our partnerships, we have some people, for example, like with our meats, we're able to call them ahead of time, say, hey, we need X amount of XYZ, because then that way we're not clearing them out of their aisle where customers are supposed to be shopping.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the actual produce aspect, no, we'll go through and pick out the bananas and the fresh kale and whatever the case may be there.
Do you guys have like refrigerated vehicles for dealing with because you're picking up meat in the morning and delivering it in the afternoon? I'm guessing you got to keep it fresh, right?
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
a concern because you have to, for temperature sensitive products, you have to make sure that you're not messing that up between us picking it up and us dropping it off. So
Yeah.
both of our cars, we have multiple coolers with temperature guns and we have ice packs in there, which is a concern in the summer. Now
Yeah.
it's okay now, it's getting cooler.
Yeah, you can
but
dangle the
that's-
meat out the window and
Yeah.
keep it cool. I'm just kidding.
Air chill.
Yes.
and just put
Okay.
snow in our coolers. But
Sure.
But from the grocery store, I'm often frustrated where I'll buy something that was obviously frozen from the factory, and
Yeah.
somewhere along the line, it was defrosted in the grocery store or somewhere, and then it was frozen again, and I get it, and you can obviously see it's like sloughed around inside the package,
Yeah.
and the toppings are all off the pizza or whatever the frozen item was, right?
Yeah.
So that keeping it frozen is not even easy for the big boys, right? Because
No.
I often get the Delicio, DiGiorno's, or whatever pizza it
Yeah.
is, and you can tell that it's been mishandled.
I worked at a grocery store for a while when I was like 16. I was telling these guys before we recorded, started working at a catering company, and I was at a grocery store. I worked at KFC, so I've been handling food for a while too.
Yeah.
But I remember the grocery store, little 16-year-old me trying to do a good job, and the managers were very on top of us with the milk and the eggs and the butter, you don't have the door open for a second longer than it needs to be open for, and
Yeah.
it's a very big deal. So
Did you break any eggs back then?
I don't remember breaking any eggs. I remember grabbing a lot of shopping carts from the parking lot, and my hands being coated in black. You
Yeah.
don't know how much grime is on people's hands until you've handled the
Everybody's
shopping
shopping
carts of
cart,
150 people.
Lovely.
yeah.
I
No,
feel like I need
leave
to wash
that
my
with you
hands
guys.
right now, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're a little off topic. So
No, no.
yeah.
So
yeah.
I was just going to add to that comment that you made, Stephen, where it becomes harder even for the bigger guys. And having worked at Loblaws, I've seen a ton of cases where there's a lot of temperature abuse happening in the transportation because you're going to have strawberries coming from California.
Yeah.
Right. It's traveling 2,000, 3,000 kilometers to get here. And that's a big stretch that they have to sort of account for.
Yeah.
Where we're sort of different is because we're on demand. Like right now we do next day delivery, but we're getting to that point where we're going to reach a critical mass and we can start doing same day delivery. So
Right.
we're completely minimizing the time that product is out of its natural surroundings, I guess. Eventually we're going to be able to do 2-hour delivery where we're just picking it up and dropping it off. So
Right.
even in that 2 hours, we have to make sure that we keep everything proper.
Yeah.
What are you guys going to do in the winter? Are we doing like maple syrup drizzled snowballs, or is it seasonal for you guys?
No, actually. So the partnerships that we do have currently in the works, for example, like Hurley's Market obviously closes in the end of October, but based on the other partners that we're working with, for example, Legacy Greens, she just recently opened her pop-up shop on King Street, and she's open year-round. So being able to work with her, we'll be able to have a lot of local options. And I think also consumers realize that, in the winter, you're not going to be getting, fresh Ontario peaches probably, right? So I think, thankfully, Canadians are conditioned to realize that, hey, we source local when possible, but if we can't, then we go to the best of our ability to be able to do that.
And that's almost part of the culture that's part of your target market too, is not just eating locally, but also eating seasonally, right? I know this stuff from my wife because she's very much into this stuff. But
we have to have her on the podcast.
We should. But this idea of you're eating different produce at different times in the season, so you get your mandarins, or your clementines around Christmas time, and you get your, I guess, grapefruit maybe is a winter harvest. It's these kind of things that my wife could speak to better. But your peaches, right, are end of summer, early fall, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And if you want them fresh and you want them local, then you kind of eat with the cycle of how that goes, right?
It's an education piece too, right? Because a lot of consumers don't know when something is in season.
Right.
Because technically you could get peaches year round because they're imported.
Sure.
And so part of what we do is educating the consumers, saying, hey, this is what's in season right now.
Yeah.
Just 2 months ago it was strawberries, and they just went out of season. So we were doing the message saying, hey, why are you buying strawberries from California that have been on a truck for 2,000 kilometers when they're grown in your backyard right here, and the prices are comparable? Like, why are you supporting that, right? So that's part of our messaging and branding, to educate people on what's in season and why local is better.
Yeah, it's interesting as I think about it with my young boys. They, unless you're sort of a careful thinker, you kind of walk into the grocery store and you don't realize that things are seasonal because everything's always there, and you don't realize that came from Mexico.
Globalization.
Stone fruit or whatever
or like
it is, right?
South Africa, right? Like anything Southern Hemisphere, they can be like the opposite seasons from us.
So it's important. Not only is the eating local and supporting local, but that education, I think, has an important value to it too.
Yeah.
For you guys to educate us again that, hey, this is in season and that isn't in season, and this is that's important. I lived in Florida for a long time, and moving back to Canada, the seasons are really important. I really missed them.
Yeah.
So it reminds me of the grocery stores, kind of like Florida. Like everything's there all the time. It's bland without the seasons.
Yeah.
So really
enough.
cool.
It's at the end of the day, what happens is when consumers do buy from us, like that money goes back into the local economy, right? Like it's not supporting the imported produce, the imported strawberries that came from California, because that's what happens at the retail store. At the retail store, the store controls what gets out to the consumers, right? It's not like a farmer's market. So when it comes time for harvest, the retail store, not naming any names, they're more than likely going to undercut the local producers for the cheaper imported produce.
Sure.
Right? So that's something that people don't really realize. You just see strawberries there year round. You're like, oh, all right, well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, 2 pints for $5. I'm buying.
Exactly. So there's that inherent realization of where your money is going.
For sure. Now, I want to ask a little bit more about just how the business model works and monetization, all this kind of stuff. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break for our sponsor message. So TSP Weekly is sponsored by Igloo Software, and we'll just throw in the Igloo spot here. And
I'm going to gently place it in here.
Okay, fair enough. And we'll see you on the other side.
I actually left Igloo for a while and came back because you get the sense of family, the sense of working as a team.
It's a really inspiring place to work. People can be who they are when they're in the building, and we're all working together for a common goal.
It gets a little crazy at times.
I have a very, very large collection of rubber ducks. My first day, out of nowhere, I just got shot by so many Nerf guns. I mean, we get beer every other Friday. There's nothing wrong with that.
You could be here for a few weeks, but if you have a great idea and we think it'll work, we'll run with it.
Where you can go forward and pursue your own dreams.
They're empowered to do their job. Our culture is all about team.
It's really great, and it's something that you kind of strive for in a company.
If you have a great idea, we're going to implement it. That's why people love working here.
Igloo! Did you get that?
This is the other side.
Welcome back, everyone. Yes, we are still here with Patrick Valoppi.
Sì.
Valoppi.
Wow.
Va bene.
And, excellent. And Niket Soni from Grocera. Gee, did I say that with an Italian
that was good.
accent too?
Yeah, that was nice.
I think,
That was nice.
I think it's where
Is excelente a word?
Excelente, certo, of course. I know a little Italian, huh?
Oh, what, a little Italian?
pochino.
How tall is he?
He's remarkably short.
Sorry, guys.
So, Grocera, Stephen had mentioned earlier this idea of scaling, right? And it sounds like you guys are carving out a great niche here in Kitchener-Waterloo with your suppliers and with your customers. But at some point, I'm
When are we
assuming
taking over Guelph?
Yeah, when you experience wild success and are ready to grow beyond, what does that process look like? I mean, that's establishing new suppliers and kind of starting over from zero almost, I would assume, yeah?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. What's fantastic about being able to expand to other cities is you're able to support other independents. We're not going to be, if we're moving into Toronto or Ottawa or London, we're not going to be obviously driving this stuff from here in KW, so we have to find some local counterparts. So business development is definitely something we have to be doing, months in advance of actually kind of dropping anchor and starting the operations. So being able to reach out to those suppliers early and say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is why we think it'd be really awesome if we could partner up and kind of do something with it. That's really important to us. And then in terms of scaling it just with our drivers itself, we use them as independent contractors, so we're able to basically, if anyone has a car, you're able to come and as long as you get the proper training from Niket and then your smart serve, then you're good to go and you can totally start delivering some groceries for us.
Very cool.
Yeah,
so almost sounds like the Uber recruitment, right? If you have a car and you get certified, come work for us. That's great.
More or less.
It really is the Uberization of every single commodity and every single economy.
Yeah.
In a way, it makes sense from a company perspective. We're a little bit different that. The independent contractors that Patrick mentioned, they have to be trained properly to pick out that tomato and check IDs and stuff. So we're a little bit different where we can't just, gather everyone off the street and be like, hey, come work for us. So there is that inherent training that goes into it. But I think that's what makes companies like Instacart, who's been wildly successful in the States, so well, like they're very well funded. They're valued at over almost $1 billion. And they've been able to scale at multiple levels in the States. So we're trying to do that in Canada with our little niche with the local food.
Is there like a healthy kind of community of suppliers where, like, if you've established good relationships with the people who are local to this area, that can give you some leverage with other suppliers in other parts of the province or other parts of the country? I'm not sure like what kind of network may or may not exist there. Do you know?
I would say that's an interesting question. The food industry in and of itself is not that collaborative.
Right.
I don't know if that kind of answers it. Everyone is kind of, they have their own stake, and it's very competitive when it comes to distributors, retailers, and even at the farmers market.
Right.
So I don't foresee anything like that. If there is somebody that big who is able to sort of like pass that along, more than likely it's going to be a big name retailer, and that's not who we want to partner with.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So you are kind of reestablishing or establishing new relationships along the way. But
Exactly.
I guess that can have its benefits too, right? You're growing your own network and developing the skills needed to do that.
Exactly, yeah.
What do you guys do when you come up against sort of competition? Because as Darren and I have talked to hundreds of startups, a lot of food focus, not specifically what you're doing, but having said that, in Guelph, when I was doing a co-op there with Innovation Guelph, I utilized a service exactly like yours. So there's a guy doing it. He's got a website. He brought me sourdough bread and a whole bunch of steak and some mushrooms and some lettuce, and he brought it to me at work. And I got to keep the bag. So
Sweet.
what do you guys do? Like, because that's just Guelph. So like you're going to run into farms that already have a relationship with this guy. So are you going to gobble them up, or what's the value prospect? Why are you guys the guys to do this instead of some guy in Guelph that has an agricultural degree or whatever, right?
Yeah, no.
It's called strong handing. No, I'm just kidding. Chris.
Hostile takeover.
We break your knee, yeah?
I got a cousin named Tony. And
Pat, you want to take this one?
Other than talking to Tony, I think I think at the end of the day, farmers value just being able to push their product out. Farmers are really good at being able to do what they do best, and obviously that's whether it be cultivating tomatoes, peaches, etc.
Yeah.
So I think just having another outlet to be able to, sell to their consumers, to basically you and I, that's all what they're looking for at the end of the day. And as long as we're, creating and fostering these healthy relationships, and I think it also comes from a reputation standpoint too, just other people hearing about, hey, what you're doing and how you're doing it, because it's not just about what you do at the end of the day, it's also how you conduct your business operations.
Sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of how you do your business operations, so how are you guys making money from this? It's a certain percentage of every sale that goes through the site, or
We assume you're eating well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get paid in peaches?
We eat the refunds.
No, it's a two-sided coin here, because we have a very deep business relationships with our suppliers, to the point where we have enough leverage and respect with each other that they can give us volume discounts, because we're basically another avenue for them to get more customers. Like Hurley's, for example, there's a lot of people that can't make it out to Hurley's, right? Those are our customers, that people that can't make it out there. So for a supplier to give us the wholesale discount, it has to be a two-sided thing. They're getting some benefit out of it, and we're getting some benefit. And then on top of that, we don't charge anything for delivery. Like deliveries are free. So we have a small markup on top of the price that you see on the store.
Right.
So that's what people kind of realize, like, hey, I know what I'm paying for, right? They're not charging anything for delivery, so I know I'm going to pay a little bit more for this convenience and this local food service that they're providing.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess that wasn't that hard a question to answer.
When you give him a slow ball right across the plate, he's going to hit it.
Yeah, that's right. Let's get into a bit more of the history. Now, you've mentioned, Niket, that you've already worked for a while in the food service industry in various capacities.
Like you had the white lab coat and the inspector gadget kind of thing going on?
I did have the title of an inspector. No gadgets, though.
Oh,
but
That's horrible. Look at you, Mr. Gadget.
That's a good Dr. Claw.
That was very good.
That was Dr.
That was-
That was really surprising, Darren.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I was a food safety specialist. So basically, what we did is anytime you hear recalls happening, so for example, burgers being recalled for salmonella, listeria, it was us doing that on the federal level.
Sure.
So we were the ones like strong handing Maple Leaf, saying you got to recall all this stuff.
Were you kind of at the administrative level of that, or were you like
with Tony
with a centrifuge, finding the bacteria? Or
so I was just one level removed. So we were the inspector. So we'd be the ones going into the plant or the slaughterhouse and actually doing the investigation. And we take samples, we send it off to the labs to figure out if it is bacteria positive or whatever it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And Patrick, did you have a background in food as well before you got involved?
So that's where my family comes in. So personally, or pardon me, I should say professionally, I graduated from Laurier, did business administration, so nothing related to food.
Right.
Go Golden Hawks.
Pardon me?
Go Golden Hawks.
Go Hawks, go.
Yes. Steven used to go to Laurier.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's an accurate assumption. Used to go. I didn't graduate, but I used to go there. I used to hang out there.
Yeah.
He still goes there, but he used to also.
I drive by now.
So I actually worked at Microsoft for a while, did a bunch of audience marketing to developers, and did the launch of Windows 8 for Canada. So basically tech was kind of my background in business.
Gotcha.
But in terms of my family, on my mom's side of the family, my grandfather and his ancestors, I should say, were all Niagara fruit farmers.
Oh, okay.
So I also grew up in a small town called Simcoe, not to be confused with Simcoe County, but Simcoe, Ontario, about an hour south of here.
Yeah.
And so basically growing up surrounded by farmland, you just naturally ate locally. So
Right.
going to the farmer's market every Saturday and eating locally for the week made sense
Yeah.
for me and my family. So when I came here and I realized that there was a little bit of a disconnect. I realized that, when Niket kind of presented this opportunity with me, I was like, yo, this is awesome. Let's see what we can do.
So how did that come together then? Like at some point, Niket, you got fed up with food inspecting and decided to do a startup, or where was the genesis of this idea?
Yeah, so I worked at the CFIA for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And then that's 2 years too many at the federal level. And that's you kind of realize that as a young person who has all these big ideas and wants to make a lot of change in the world, unfortunately you're not going to do that at the federal level because things move at a different pace. So I kind of got fed up with that, and I had all this knowledge about the industry itself, whether it's from doing inspections or working with these guys, and I saw this gap in the marketplace. At the same time, while I was working there full time, I had a hobby in programming and coding and web development. So I thought, okay, on one hand, there's a gap in the marketplace where local food isn't as accessible as it should be, and people are starting to buy stuff online, even food. right? Canada is usually the last country to catch on to these new trends, whether it's Amazon or buying food. So I was like, you know what? There's nothing like this out here, at least not in Kitchener-Waterloo. Let's combine these two ideas, and that's where it started. And then we brought Patrick on board probably about a month after I quit that job, and I just posted an ad on Waterloo Tech Jobs saying, hey, I was just looking for a volunteer as a community manager, see what I can find, and Patrick applied. And then probably about a month and a half into it, I was like, let's bring you on board as a co-founder.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so who's been doing the heavy lifting as far as code writing and stuff goes for the platform?
I would definitely have to say Niket for sure.
Oh yeah?
I can monkey around with a little bit of HTML, but that's about it for my forte.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. I would have thought your time at Microsoft and stuff would have...
Marketing business to the developers. So that's
and I think
Niket's duty.
that's one of the reasons that brought Patrick on board, because he had that marketing background.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what we're doing is relatively simple, right? We're doing online grocery shopping. It's not groundbreaking stuff, as we like to joke. It's not 3D printed drones.
Right.
But what we're doing is we are solving a problem. So marketing is a big thing, like changing consumer perception, and that's where his strengths come in. So
who is your market, guys? Because I, as a guy that just finished college, don't have a job yet, it sounds kind of boutique-y to me. Like, is it more expensive to use you guys on a weekly basis than my wife and I going to Costco and portioning out the 5,000 steaks we get for $20?
Yeah, I think it's all relative. Obviously, we try to make our prices as everyday consumer focused as possible. But I think people realize that they maybe value their time more necessarily than going to Costco, because, for example, our target consumer is extremely busy, whether it be a student doing a bunch of extracurricular activities, working a part-time job, because students are no longer students anymore. I feel like they're more machines, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Or if, for example, you're a young family and both parents are working and you're dropping kids off at daycare, then soccer practice, then ballet, and maybe you don't want to have a Domino's pizza for the third time that week.
Don't.
You probably don't.
Yep.
So we create that the option for you guys to be still able to eat healthy, but still be able to have access to that at your doorstep.
So will the delivery guy stick around and cook at all, or is it just delivery?
That's the next step.
I'd say that's the next extension.
We're going to
of the
combine like an Airbnb Grocera thing where you kind of have our delivery drivers just sleep over the night, cook breakfast.
You pull up the food truck,
everything.
And I like that.
But I think
I can see potential.
Sorry, I was just going to add to what Patrick was saying.
Wait, were you guys being sarcastic?
Maybe.
Go ahead.
The profile of a customer is time poor.
Yes.
Right? People don't have time anymore. Time is money, and young families, professionals, students, whoever it is, people have to, they realize that they value their time more than, the hour that they spend at the grocery store doing mindless shopping.
Yep.
Yeah.
And an hour at the grocery store isn't bad. It's the hour at Costco, which is just a nightmare.
Because you're going to buy a lot of stuff.
Oh, and it's horrible. There's so many people,
Yeah.
and it's just a madhouse.
Yeah.
It really is a madhouse. But you feel like you have to go there to save the bulk.
That's how they get you.
Granola bars or whatever.
Right.
And what's nice too is that we've realized that also there's a huge market of just people that are homebound or the elderly, for example, that can't actually get out to the grocery store at the end of the day. So I think it's always there's always nice moments when we're able to deliver to someone who's homebound. They're just so extremely grateful to be able to have that fresh produce option, especially with the winter coming, people not being able to get out. So
well, and there are young professionals too who don't have vehicles, which also makes it difficult to get to the
Totally.
store and haul your stuff around. Right? I met a guy yesterday who works at Google, so obviously doing pretty good for himself. But he and his wife, they don't have a car. They live within walking distance of their jobs. And my only thought was like, how do you get your groceries? Because that's the one thing that you really should. A vehicle really helps in that process. But maybe they use you guys. I don't even know.
Well, even here in Kitchener-Waterloo, like that demographic is growing, right? That's just the people. I know quite a few people that live downtown and uptown that don't have cars.
Sure.
And buses are great, but we're still the suburbs, right?
Yeah.
It's still the suburbs here, so you still need a car to get around.
Yeah.
But I think that demographic is growing, and as Patrick mentioned, the elderly, we saw there was a huge market opportunity here. So we said, all right, so they're not going to be buying stuff online. Like a lot of them don't have credit cards. They don't know how to use a computer. So like, that's fine. We have a toll-free number where they just call in and we just take the orders down. Awesome. And it's such a, like Patrick said, it's a very fulfilling thing. Like we get it up all the way to their 10th floor apartment and like put it on their kitchen counter, and they're like, oh, this is such a great service. And they reminisce the back in the day when the grocery store delivered themselves.
Yeah. Milk
right?
was
like
5
decades
cents.
ago.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, that's what we're trying to recreate.
That's awesome.
Why don't you guys just cut out all the middleman and get a huge picnic table in downtown Kitchener, and then just sort of membership once 3 times a day. You guys make a huge meal down there, and everybody just comes and eats.
I think that's great.
That sounds like a different business model. You could try that out.
I guess I'm hungry is what's happening.
Yeah, I know.
We have some pretzels in the corner.
So we have the pretzels.
Yeah, that's right. So getting back kind of to the timeline here. So at what point then did you guys connect? How long ago was that now when you decided to do this thing together?
That was early March. So I quit early February, and then I brought him on board early March.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're looking at like 6 months-ish ago. I'm trying to think where we're at now. Yeah, maybe 6 months, 7 months.
Yeah.
And what has happened in that time then? You've built the platform. Somehow you ended up in here in the Velocity Foundry.
Yeah. Well, we met each other's parents. It's going very well.
Things are pretty serious right now.
Several long walks on the beach.
Yeah. We have the candlelit local dinners. So
I'm guessing like one or both of you. Or no, well, you said you went to Laurier, but
I went to Waterloo.
Okay.
Yes.
Typically you need to have a Waterloo alumni to get into the.
So you need to be that. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So how long have you been here in the Foundry then?
So we're actually at the garage.
Oh, the garage. Sorry. Yes.
When did we get in?
we got in May.
In May.
Yep.
Yeah. Since May, we've been in the garage, and recently we got into Google for Entrepreneurs, which is Google's own incubator right inside of Communitech. I think that's been about a month also. So we have this like crazy amount of resources and mentorship that we get from multiple different levels. So it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And what kind of resources are offered for those who might be interested in these programs but don't know what's there?
So
you guys get an extra delivery driver?
What's that? Yeah, we wish. Yeah, that'd be great.
Sending West Worsfield out to pick up sourdough bread somewhere?
Well, the funny thing is that in the garage, we're kind of a very unique company because we're a tech company, but we're also, we're delivering food.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to see our space, and then there's a bunch of SaaS companies, just software companies around us who are, talking about churn rates and, the licensing. And at 4 p.m. every single weekday, we have like corn on the ground, and we have like tomatoes rolling around. So it's a very interesting like contrast to see that.
Sure.
But it's been fantastic. Like they give us the mentorship that we need to sort of A, get started, and B, scaling it. Right, like we have access to so many EIRs, the executives and residents that help us out through Velocity. Whether it's talking about sales strategy, marketing strategy, what's our inbound, what's our funnel metrics, how are we getting people in and out, and then I think you can talk a little bit about Google and what they can do for us.
Yeah, Google's been awesome too. What I really like about Google for Entrepreneurship, their program is, or entrepreneurs, I should say, they act like your dad was in high school. Whereas if you don't get your homework done, they're very stern with you. So they make you accountable. So they say to you right before during the interview process, they say, okay, what are your 6-month goals, and like basically what objectives are you trying to hit? How are you going to do it, etc. And then you have bi-weekly meetings with them to ensure that you're actually hitting your goals. So that's something that I really do value because it's showing that they're with you all more or less every step of the way.
But they hold you accountable.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Just like that, right?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they also offer you a ton of, products and services. So, working with the Google App Services and some cloud stuff and some UI UX testing credits. So it gives you basically the tools to really at least get started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
How was that application process? Was that terrifying, or did they ask you how
very
many
long.
marbles fit in a school bus or anything like that?
There's a lot of calculus. No, it was, the Google, it was fine, actually. It was just basically an interview process. We were interviewing with 4 people, I think. They want to know, they're more focused in on tech companies, like they need technical help. And they kind of took us in because we're at that stage where we have a platform, right? And we have revenue, we're profitable. How do we scale that to the next level? And we need the technology to do that. So I think that's where we appealed to them as a candidate.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, who else do you guys have in the mix? There's the two of you kind of managing every single aspect of what's going on, or do you have other drivers that are doing stuff, or people that are contributing?
Do you have minions?
Yeah. So we're the only 2 full-timers, and actually we're the only 2 drivers at this point. Niket and I were actually talking yesterday how we can't be doing all day full of delivery, so we're gonna have to be hiring a few other people because we want to be focusing on strategy. But in terms of volunteers or people working with us, we have about 4 to 5 volunteers who help us out. Between we have a content creation person. We have a student from U Waterloo who does branding and design and stuff like that. We have a guy from Laurier who's helping me with the biz dev. So we have a really awesome team. And what's even more awesome is that they've been with us since the beginning, and they haven't more or less quit on us because they really value the actual business that we're doing. They're the ones who actually reached out to us and said, hey, what you're doing is really awesome. How can we be a part of it? So that just kind of reaffirms our mission, our core value of what we're actually delivering to our customers.
And
so
they're all volunteer, you say?
All volunteer.
Jeez, man, we got to get some volunteers on board with us.
I know.
If anybody's listening and wants to help out with the podcast.
There's the plug.
Wants to carry Darren's microphone around.
Or do some marketing or sales for us, that would be great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that speaks to the legitimacy and the quality of the idea itself, right? If you're getting people coming to you and saying, we want to work with you for free because we believe that strongly in your vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we hear
Such
that
a validation.
rarely, but we have heard it a couple times, and it's always it's such a cool little spot to have that attraction, where people
because
are
at the end of the day, we're a very grounded company,
Yeah.
we're doing grocery shopping, we're dealing with produce and meat and food, so everyone sort of it resonates with them because there's not to say that all these crazy software companies are out there, but for a regular person who's is a student, enterprise software for value added marketing, it's a lot. They don't know what that is.
Doesn't
right?
feel, yeah.
And we're kind of grounded in the way like, hey, here's what we're doing, here's who we're helping, right?
Yeah.
It helps the community. And
Here's food.
yeah.
People get
food's
it.
good.
It's very simple.
Yeah, food's good. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have very interesting hands. They're very programmer-ish, but they have dirt under their fingernails.
Yeah.
So I like it.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
And I can say that because it's a podcast.
Sure. Well, listen, guys, I think it might be time to move into our...
Does anybody have a good lightning bolt sound effect?
Oh.
There it is.
That's not
pretty good.
bad. It's
Okay.
it's
What do you got?
Can we do
like a
auditions?
gunshot.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Niket, let's hear it. Let's
No,
hear
no,
it.
I'm not even gonna try.
Oh, so you
Yeah.
passed judgment,
I
but you
got-
won't
I
make
got
the
some-
sound yourself.
I got some saliva built up. Maybe I can do it.
Doing.
Wow. You gotta
Okay,
get
that was better.
rolling.
Yeah,
That was
better.
really
That was
neat.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, thanks.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll quit.
You're hired.
Yeah, you're
I
hired.
should have tried that earlier in the podcast. My first attempt at the thunder sound. The lightning round. We're the lightning round. Oh, there we go.
That's pretty
there's
good.
our official sound effect.
I'll stick to my day job.
And your day job is probably going to take you much further than the sound effects.
Than that lightning.
But anyway, so we're going to just throw 10 questions between Steven and I. We'll just throw it to you guys and see how you do.
Do we have to buzz her in or anything? Or?
You don't have to buzz in. It's just
You might want to buzz
faster
out.
questions than normal. Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway,
So you guys
take it
are
away?
stranded on Mars, but you do get your one phone call, and it's answered by Grocera. So what are you ordering from Grocera to eat on Mars?
That's a very good
I
question.
mean, what are we drinking on Mars? Because we're not coming back anytime soon.
Yeah, you guys can each order something, so you get you can.
Okay.
I think I'd probably go with something frozen because that needs to keep it preserved for that long trip to Mars.
Sure.
And hopefully there's enough heat on Mars so I can cook it up.
Sure.
So not craft
So-
beer and pretzels.
No, not craft beer. No.
Oh, okay.
So what? Give us a real example.
Something local and frozen.
what? Side of beef?
That might be. I don't know. I don't know about bacteria. Actually, I'm gonna go with frozen frozen fruit, like frozen
Okay.
strawberries. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They'd top nicely. What about you, Pat?
Pat, you got to do better than that. Frozen
that
strawberries.
was too good.
I'm not hanging out with him on Mars.
Thing like we have to have more to make it like an actual meal. It's hard to just think of one specific.
What's the transportation like? Who's delivering? How much?
Yeah,
space is
that's.
it?
Can we have some more
It's a
factors in
lightning
this?
round.
This
These
is-
are not
This
things-
is the thunder. This is like the long prolonged thunder round.
The analogy might be drawn out a little too far. We're going to get into the logistics. Of
When you
space
ask the
delivery.
guys, the logistic guys, how to
Yeah.
get
it's
frozen strawberries to Mars.
teleported to you as a one.
This is what gets us excited. Like,
Yeah, you guys are just the customer. You don't have to worry about how it's delivered to you.
6-pack of Waterloo dark beer.
There you
There it
go.
is.
Yeah.
All right, fair.
Nice, decisive.
Waterloo Dark. All right, my question for you guys is, what is one of your hidden talents, each of you? Something that we had no idea that you're good at.
That's a hard one.
Musical instruments, sporting stuff,
Dance moves.
Rubik's Cube.
I am one of Chainsaw's karaoke idol competition winners.
Chainsaw is a
Really?
local bar.
Correct.
Here
Sorry,
in
thank
town
It's a
that,
good thing. I didn't know, so that's good. Yeah, you're a local karaoke winner. What did
Yeah.
you win with? What was the song?
So I had a partner, and because I'm a horrible singer,
Oh,
so
fair enough.
we did a song by Usher featuring Young Jeezy called "Love in This Club."
Oh my goodness.
And I rapped, and she sang, and we crushed it.
That's awesome.
There you go.
I'm afraid to ask.
Don't ask me. Don't ask for don't ask for a taste. Don't ask for a taste.
You got to have the actual karaoke box in front of you.
We've never had Usher on the podcast before.
We haven't. We probably never will. Okay, cool. Niket, anything?
This is a very hard one. I don't know. I'm going to be very boring, and I'm going to say, and I think Patrick will agree with this, is I'm really good at figuring out what's wrong with the software that we're doing.
Boo.
And the reason, listen. The reason it's a hidden talent or people don't know is because I don't have a degree in computer science. I didn't study computer science.
Sure.
And I can still figure this stuff out. Again, very boring, but
that's all right. It's
kind
of a natural code intuition to know something's going wrong over there.
Frozen strawberries, this is really going downhill.
Do you cook? Maybe this is a question. No.
Okay.
Wait. I'm gonna ask that.
Do you cook?
I'm gonna ask this as an additional lightning round question after Steven's finished.
Okay.
We'll accept your code sniffing.
So I'm a bit of a genie in a bottle, and I'm gonna solve your number one problem for you by waving my magic wand. So what is your number one problem right now?
Personally or professionally?
Yep, absolutely. I'd like to hear both.
Okay.
I can't help Darren with that rash, but you guys.
What is our number one? Well, I think if you can wave your wand and get us 100% penetration of our target market, that'd be pretty cool. I think that'd be awesome. Yeah. We can take care of handling the volume. We just need the people to buy it.
He wants 100% penetration with your wand, just to clarify.
Is this PG or what?
Not suitable for work warning at the beginning of this, baby.
Set up.
Yeah. I'm just repeating what the guest said.
So are those my words or your words? Or
I think it's a bit of both.
What about you, Niket?
Yeah. I think it would be the seed stage funding.
Yeah.
As professionally, because I don't know if you guys want me to explain why, but there is a downside to being a company that's so grounded.
Yes.
VCs and firms are more than likely going to invest in the 3D printed drones as opposed to the guys who are solving a community problem. So I think we haven't even started doing fundraising, but I think it's just finding that right VC and saying, hey, we believe in what they're doing.
But even if VC doesn't see you guys as the next kind of Facebook exploding thing, you might be more likely to get funding from a bank or something, right? Which is not a bad thing necessarily either, right?
Or a wealthy farmer.
Yeah,
wealthy farmer. Yeah.
I saw a really cool cartoon, and it was a genie with a guy on a deserted island, just one of those little tiny islands he's standing on, and he gets one wish, so he says $1 million, and the genie looks at him like, really? You're on an island, $1 million isn't going to do anything, kind of thing. Yeah. And the guy goes, oh, that's right. $1 billion. So stupid. So genies do deliver money.
So here's my surprise next question. Speaking of food, do you guys cook? And if you do, what's the dish that you can make really well?
Ooh, I like that question.
Yeah, it's a romantic evening. You guys have to impress. Cook
to
impress.
Are we together or with our significant others?
It's you and I. Okay. What are you cooking for Darren and I?
So, well, at least what I'm cooking, I'm going to cook roasted beets and sweet potatoes in the oven. We can have some steamed beans on the side, a little bit of garlic. And then I think in terms of the main actual meat will probably be some chicken drumsticks and a little bit of a buffalo wing sauce kind of thing.
Ooh.
Nice.
Wow.
I
I'm getting hungry
beets,
now.
But I like the rest.
I'm getting hungry. I am a breakfast master. I love breakfast. I can cook an egg 4 different ways. I'm just 4 different ways. 4. That's fantastic. I'm just now learning how to do the hollandaise sauce and the poached eggs because I love eggs, Benny.
Sure.
But I think just give me an egg. I can wow you.
Okay.
We'll do that way.
Excellent.
Didn't want an egg on Mars. Went for frozen strawberries.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Being able to eat something and prepare something are different things, though. Right?
That's true.
I can prepare an egg on Mars.
Man, I'm not gonna live the strawberries down. That's gonna be.
But we have water on Mars, eh?
That's true. We do have water.
I heard about that. Yeah.
So I guess we can hydrate at least.
Yeah.
I
okay.
guess so.
Sorry.
Or boil.
So I'm going to wave my genie wand again, and I'm stripping you guys of all your tech abilities and knowledge.
First you're penetrating, now you're stripping?
Yep.
I thought there was going to be clothes coming after that or something.
This is,
man.
you guys, supposed to be a family-friendly
Is this a kid show?
It's the mic. It's the mic.
I'm dressing you in overalls.
Perfect.
So you guys are now farmers.
Uh-huh.
What are you going to grow on your farm?
I'll go first. Corn.
All right.
I'm going to do corn. Ontario, fresh, local Ontario corn.
There's a huge market for corn.
Yeah.
Because it's not just people eating corn on the cob, right? They use it for like fuel, feed.
It goes in a lot of places.
And there are very few things better than fresh Ontario corn.
That's
when it's in season, it's hopping.
We've sold a lot just to our website. It's like
yep.
I believe.
So we have a corn farmer and a.
Okay, do you want like the rational or the because like my grandpa, like this is the topic that my grandpa always used to talk to me about, like what to grow because what he grew.
Right.
Peaches can be a blessing and a curse, but I think there's nothing better than fresh Ontario peaches. So
you going peaches?
I'm gonna be a sucker and
What's the irrational answer?
Well, it's just because the actual maintenance of the crop is crazy. Like the amount, like how peaches can actually spread the diseases, like the fungi and stuff. It's just either as a cash crop or it's dead.
You get one caterpillar too many. And
yeah,
it's
exactly.
Over, baby.
It's House of Cards.
This is depressing now.
House of Peaches.
House of Peaches. I love it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fill in the blank. If you could have one drink in your hand right now, it would be what?
Apple cider.
That was a fast one.
Yeah. Margarita.
Okay.
Salt or no salt?
Salt. Lots of salt. Salt everywhere.
Salt the rim.
Just like the pretzel, everything.
Salt it up.
Salt ice cubes.
I'm a salt fiend.
All right.
So I'm still in genie mode, as you can tell by the.
You and the magic wands, man.
No, it's his magic dust now.
Oh, dust.
We're going to hire
no
3 people
Yeah.
for you guys to help you guys sort of grow and scale. So who are your 3 top hires that are coming
He's such
next?
a tease, Niket, because none of this.
Yeah, I know.
Tease.
Okay.
Yeah, when this podcast is over, all this goes away.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
Make me all happy, right? I'm giggly.
I think that's a very easy answer. The number one thing is we need a full stack developer who's on board as the lead dev, because what we're trying to create with our logistics is an algorithm that optimizes all of our routes and all of our drivers, because that's what's really going to help us scale into different cities and different communities. That'd be number one.
Yep.
Number 2 would be a full-time QA person, not in store, but actually on the back end, because we have close to 650 products right now that we need to keep a track of in terms of what's in season, what's not in season, what's coming in now.
Yeah.
And then number 3 would be, what else do we need? We need, no, I'm not going to say anything. No,
He's giving him the look.
Yeah. No, you go.
He took 2. He only
Patrick?
left you 1, Pat. What are you?
Yeah.
Executive assistant?
I think we'll need a lawyer, to be honest. That's going to be our 3rd hire. We'll need someone in legal counsel.
Yeah.
Make sure we have
Yes.
the cross the T's and dot. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cross the T's and dot the I's. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Executive assistant. We're
Yeah.
going to say that.
Okay.
Executive assistant, yes.
Perfect. Sounds
Awesome.
great. I've got to think of another question now. What?
Is the
Let's-
airspeed velocity of an African swallow?
we
Very
already know that
nicely
one.
done.
We don't need to know it again. But,
Blue. No, green.
This is. We asked this one of a lot of startups, but can you give us one piece of advice for new startups in 5 words or less? Go.
Don't take things too seriously.
Okay. Nice. Patrick's counting on his fingers here.
Oh, he's taking a shoe off.
Eat well.
I sound like a caveman. Find team, make things happen.
Okay.
That's 2 things, but okay, yeah.
You throw a comma in there, you're
There you
good.
go.
Team,
Yeah.
make things happen.
Fine
Make
team.
that
There you go.
work. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Semicolon, make things happen.
There you
Yes. Stephen, I think
So
last one.
the last question that I would have for you guys is very narcissistic. You're a podcast listener. What advice would you give to 2 young, strapping podcasters here in the Kitchener area?
Are we strapping?
You guys
I
are
thought
very
of
much
myself
strapping.
as
Strapping
Okay.
gentlemen.
Penetrating,
Penetration, strapping.
everything.
You got to
For-
strip the podcast
Well,
down
I'm-
and improve your penetration.
This is my
rate.
first time, by the way, guys. So congratulations on that.
I hope we were
one.
gentle.
thank you. Oh man.
What advice would
what
you
was the
give us?
question again? I'm a little. Is this hot in here? Or is it
How
just
can
me?
we improve
Advice
the
for
podcast?
Yeah. What
Yeah.
do you think? More gifts for the guests, perhaps.
We're
don't
getting
have-
gifts? We're getting gifts
Well,
at the
we
end?
don't have any. So
Oh,
I lay on as
Suggest that now.
as much sarcasm as I can, but
I think obviously the beauty of a podcast is being able to have an unfiltered opinion or response to what a startup actually is. So as much as it is hard being in the hot seat and answering these hard-hitting questions, I think that's probably what the listeners appreciate the most, is not having the curtain in front to say like, okay, like, you know, you see the startup from an outsider's perspective and what it had the glitz and the glamour, but until you actually see the harsh realities and the sleepless nights of, you know, what you're dealing with or the deals that have fallen through and what could have been.
Yeah.
I think that's like the juicy tidbits that people really want to see. It's like what actually is it to be in a startup without being in one yourself.
Sure.
Yeah. I think I was just going to say that, Stephen, we were talking about the startup podcast and how they did it. Like, honestly, ask us even more personal, even more hard-hitting questions that like really cut to the heart of things, because when I was listening to that podcast and even this one, like I want to, as an outsider, I want to hear about what it's like as a startup. What are founders going through?
Yeah.
I'll give you a very personal example. Just last night we had a conversation because for the past 2 weeks we've been so burnt out over doing operations, deliveries, strategy. The last night Patrick called me and he's like, you know what? I think we're getting to that stage where the founder honeymoon is over.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly what I said.
and
Starting into the trough of sorrow.
The trough of sorrow, right?
Yeah.
And it's so true. And we just had to be very real with each other and just say we need to check ourselves. We need to set time aside, not just for outside work, for our significant others also, because we're starting to turn on each other, right? Like you would get frustrated over very little things that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, keep it going. You guys are doing such a fantastic job. Just
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Hey,
What was your solution? Did you guys just hug it out, or
it's communication.
Yeah.
It's communication. Honestly,
That's
like
what the ladies always tell you. It's
It's
just
true.
having that communication.
and expectations, right?
Yeah.
You have to let other people
because
know your
what's that statistics that say like almost 60% of startups fail because of founder issues?
Yeah.
And I totally believe that. Like
Yeah.
if you're not communicating, just like a relationship, right? Then
Absolutely.
Yeah, Niket jokes is like we have our work wives and then our personal.
yeah, no, that's really how it is, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
For my last question, I'm going to make it not quite so heavy or anything.
Sure.
Once you guys get your big, $1 billion buyout from whoever buys out startups that do grocery deliveries,
Carl's heirs.
what are you guys going to buy with your share of your take?
I am going to travel.
Okay.
I love traveling. I think I have a goal of visiting 30 countries before 30.
Okay.
So I think it's realistically doable, and there's just so much out there.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you get caught up in the daily grind, the daily bubble of even Kitchener-Waterloo, Toronto. Like, there's so much more out there.
Yeah.
You gotta do it
Get out
when
and
you
see
can.
it.
Yeah, I saw the new pictures that the Hubble Space Telescope had released of the pillars of creation or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was trying to decide what color shirt to wear that day. I was like, this
the
is the
minutia,
silliest
right?
thing I've ever,
Yeah.
Perspective.
It's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Patrick, what do you think?
Yeah, I think not to steal Niket's thunder, but definitely traveling.
Yeah.
Someone's been bugging me to go to Fuji for a very long time.
Not his work wife,
Like
his
Mount-
actual girlfriend.
Like Mount Fuji?
Someone.
Mount Fuji in Japan?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I've ridden on a train past Mount Fuji. I've
Really?
never ridden up the mountain.
Yeah, so we did Cinque Terre in Italy and stuff. So
I love Cinque Terre. I've been there too.
Really,
We've got to
Okay,
talk.
we'll
after
talk
the podcast.
after.
Yeah.
We'll talk
Monterosso, Manarola.
See, actually, one of the first things that we had in common.
We bonded. It was
What-
Balzac's coffee.
Yeah, we
it was
talked
great.
about hiking the Cinque Terre.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
But
I love
after
how you say Cinque Terre.
Cinque
Like,
Terre.
so many other people are like Cinque Terre.
I thought it was.
and then
before
your heart
I went
breaks a
there,
bit.
I
Yeah.
thought it was Cinque Terre.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, like who would know?
Yeah.
and then I think just buy Four Seasons up north.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's I need to get away.
Absolutely.
Really
Sounds
cool.
good. Well, our bonus question, guys, that we like to ask all of our guests is toilet paper, fold or scrunch? Which side do you fall on?
Scrunch.
Depends how much time I have.
Really?
How much time do you have?
We have
Really?
not
Depends how
heard
much time I
that.
have. If it's like if I gotta go and like it's
So
like
if
I'm
you
running
have
late.
over
you
5, you have all the
scrunch it?
time in the
If
world.
I have all the time in the world, yeah, like when,
properly
there was a comedian that talked about like even though I'm dirt poor, of all the things, I always make sure I buy nice toilet paper because at least you can treat yourself to something at the end of the day.
Right.
Well, and not only that, you're dragging something across your butt literally every single day. You don't want it to be like a poor experience, right? Toilet paper and and your bed, like your mattress. Invest in the good stuff.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
You
Amen.
can skimp on other things, but like you spend a third of your life in your bed, and you spend I don't know how much
third
of your life
on the
wiping your
toilet.
butt. Like,
Well, if it's Patrick,
make those
clearly a
things
lot.
Nailed it. Nice. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I went for an
Hi, Mom.
expensive mouse and keyboard instead of, but whatever.
well, you
Unto
know.
each their own.
I guess you spent a lot of time on the computer too.
So we
Fair enough.
did we get a folder scrunch out of you, Pat? No.
yeah.
It depends on the day.
Scrunch in a hurry, fold in when
Today
you
was a
have more
scrunch.
leisurely-
Today was a scrunch. I was running late.
Okay. So we got
Fair enough.
There you go.
I don't think we've
Two
ever
scrunchers.
heard like a time-based answer.
No, I've never had that
That's,
sort of.
have to throw that into
it
the data
depends.
set and see how it.
We've
how it
had
shakes
depends
out.
on the toilet paper,
Right.
but not on the time.
Right.
Oh.
You
Yeah.
need that like 3-ply, 4-ply stuff. Good stuff, right?
Lovely.
4-ply. I don't
gotta-
even know if that's
Does that exist?
foldable, right?
Yeah. It's already folded.
It's like Goldschlager. Like, what's the
Wait,
point?
hold
You
on.
just need one square when you're using.
Wait, hold on. Nobody's answered with a bidet?
No, not yet. Well, we haven't really presented as an option.
Okay,
but
fair enough.
That's
Fair
C.
enough.
That's
But
C.
I
That's-
have. It
fair
has
enough.
come up, and
Yeah.
I mentioned how I lived in another country for a while in Qatar, in the Middle East, where
Okay.
there was
That's
a
what it is.
bidet in every single residence, and many public washrooms had what we called the bum gun, like a spray hose beside the toilet.
Yeah.
That if you want to go that way, you can go that way. I never even attempted it. I had
Yeah.
ample opportunity, and every time I considered it, I'm like, I have toilet paper. I'm going to continue
go.
using toilet paper.
fair.
The fold and scrunch question is really getting out of hand. We're gonna have to put a lid on it. I think.
Like
We're spending a
devoting
lot
too
of
much
time
to it.
talking about
Says,
this.
just
says
so-
Mr. 100% penetration over here.
Always
Getting out of hand.
Always start with a poop joke and end with a poop joke.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what gets
we're
the listeners
consistent.
going.
I think the fact we talk about it so much just shows what a great. There's so much to dig into, right? There's so
Oh,
much
boy.
meat. Oh, sorry.
So many puns.
Poorly chosen words.
So many puns.
Well,
so little
on that
time.
note, I think we should wrap things up here, guys. Listen, let's throw out some thank yous. First of all, very
Very
thank
thank
you.
you. Very much thank
That
you.
doesn't
Very
work.
thanks. Very
Thanks
thanks.
a lot to Niket, Soni, and Patrick Valoppi.
There you go.
For joining us on the podcast today. from
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks,
It's a
guys.
pleasure.
It's awesome. Thank you very much to the Velocity Foundry for letting us use their space to record here once again. And thanks to you, our listeners, for joining us on another episode of TSP Weekly. Please feel free to send us your comments, questions, criticisms, and feedback. Our email address is feedback@tspweekly.com, or you can send us a message on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @TSPWeekly. And I forgot to ask, by the way, guys, if we wanted to find you online, where can we do so?
What's the plug, Niket?
So it's just grocera.ca.
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 Okay, are you guys on like Twitter or Facebook or
Yeah,
any of that
it's
stuff?
it's gonna be Grocera HQ.
Okay.
We're same thing for Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
Okay.
We're very big on all that stuff. You can really see us delivering almost every day. We post something. So
Care Bear suits,
Yeah.
shark suits.
yeah.
Awesome. Very
Yeah.
cool. Well, we'll make sure to post some links to those places so people can find
Cool.
you guys and check out the suits.
Now,
That's
one of
great.
the things that
Yeah.
Darren and I have been working on for our listeners that's coming up is we've joined Patreon or Patreon, I think.
I don't know. I think you
I don't know how to
pronounce it
say it.
patron, but patron.com. Yeah.
So we've been working madly on a video for you guys explaining a little bit about what we are doing with the podcast. So look for that coming up in the next week or so.
Yep. And if you're looking for a way to support us, then we will be very happy to offer you that opportunity through the use of patrons. So
Yeah, there's some really cool prizes and rewards that we're worth dreaming up. So
absolutely. So to wrap things up again, yeah. On that note, thank you so much for joining us, guys, and for myself, Darren Conley, my co-host Stephen Campbell, and our guests Niket Soni and Patrick Valoppi from Grocera. Thank you so much for joining us here today, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you.